Hi everyone, welcome to ThomTech Tutorials. I am Thomas and this is session 20 of Azure Data Factory tutorial 2. So in this session I am going to cover Excel dynamic loading, and that is based on a subscriber's demand or request. So guys, before we jump into the tutorials, please do like and subscribe my channel if not done so. And with that, let's begin the tutorial. So let me just start with the problem and we'll get to the solutions in a while. So we have a few Excel files, okay, and each of these Excel files do not contain any headers, and we have to load this into a table with a corresponding table in a database, and it should happen dynamically. Okay, and since we do not have a header already aligned, we need to think of some solution. Okay, so let me just open some of the files. So this might not be a real file but just an example. So you can see this is a customer data. Let me open this, and you can see this is my file, but I do not have a header, and instead of header it's a blank. Okay, so let's close this. Similar to that, we have a product data file which does not have a header, and we have the records and the first line is blank. Okay, same for transaction and same for vendor. Okay, we need to load these files into the SQL table. Okay, so what we can do is, first of all, let's go back to our Azure Data Factory. So this is our Azure Data Factory, and there is like one of our data sets that I have created, okay, which was like already created in the previous session. So if you guys have not seen it, please go and watch that. Playlist is there in the description below. Okay, so over here you can see this data set is taking, or we are stating this data set that we have the row. Okay, but we cannot use the same data set for this scenario because in these files we do not have our headers. So let's take a clone of it and just rename it something like on demand. Okay, and minimize this, go down, scroll down and uncheck this, save this. Okay, and close this. Now just go up, you can see this is like a parameterized data set, right? So both these values we will be passing during the runtime. So let's close this now, or keep this open. We will compare if we need to compare something. And now let's go and create a new pipeline and create a metadata activity, copy it over here, give a proper name, okay, and then go and select your data set, that is on demand. So once you click it, it will ask for the folder name and the file name. The folder name is going to be same, but the file name we are going to give the wildcard .xlx. Okay, then we'll click on field list and grab our property, that is child item. So if you guys have not seen this, please go and watch my previous sessions. Then we will make use of filter activity to remove the folders from the array. Okay, let's click on this, click over here dot child items and then click OK. Okay, then over here let's click on the condition, and over here we need to give some conditions so that we can have that control to separate the folders. Because if you guys have not seen this, I will suggest you go and watch my series. Okay, so let me just quickly show you. Go back to the data lake or the storage. Okay, and over here let's click on the containers. We have this containers already created. Get inside this container and let's click on our source folder. So this is our source folder where we have our files. With that we have a subfolder, and we do not want to count that subfolder in our processing. So that's the reason we are using filter condition, and we are making use of this property, that is item dot type. Okay, and then we will say contains as file. So in the type property we can have two values, one is file and one is folder. So if you select folder, all the folder subfolders will be coming in that filter activity or in the processing stream. So now I have selected file, so only files will be taken further. Okay, let's click on this. Now let's take a for each activity, place it here, scroll down, join it, read each file, okay, and then give the value over here. Let's keep it as parallel for this time. Let's see, and then let's get the output from the filter activity dot values. Okay, then click on OK, click on the activities and get inside the activity. Over here just go and copy, bring a copy activity and rename it copy files to SQL, or whatever meaningful name you want to give it over here. Then go and select a data set, that is our on-demand data set that we have created, which has that header unchecked. Okay, this folder name we are not going to make change because our folder name is source only. Over here we will be using the property as name dot, that's item dot name. Okay, and then let's click on sync. In sync we have to create a linked service for Azure SQL and then a dataset for Azure SQL. So I have already created this. If you guys want to see like how to create a linked service for Azure SQL and how to create a dataset corresponding to it, please do let me know in the comments below. I will be creating that, or in the coming videos I can cover those things. Okay, so that's it. So let me just quickly select the sync dataset. So this is the sync dataset that I have created, and this is again a parameterized one. Okay, so if you open this dataset, you will see that this is what my dataset property contains for Azure SQL, and I have created a parameter for this, that is table name, and then I have associated that value to this value, that is DBO will be my schema, which is not going to change, but my table name is going to change, right? So DBO I have not parameterized, but I have parameterized the table name. Okay, then I can close it. Then you can see now I have an option at the copy activity level in the sync property that please pass the table name. Now this table name should come dynamically, right? And what I did is, you can go to SQL database, okay, and you can create two tables. One is like temporary table, that is customer data temp and customer data. So likewise you can create for product, transaction and vendor, that is two files for one table. Okay, so this is like one of the solutions that we can use like to achieve this problem. Okay, then what we can do, let me just show you what I did. So in the temporary table, let's open the object and see the definition. In the temporary table, for each of the tables, what I did is I have created the structured based on global column names. Okay, so let it open. Yeah, it's taking some time, not sure why it's taking time. So let's wait for 30 more seconds. Okay, now it's opened. So you can see this is my temporary table name, and I have given these names, that is prop 0, prop 1, prop 2, prop 3. So now there is a question like why I am giving this, right? So I can show you why I am giving it like this. Go to the source. In the source you can go and see there is an option for preview, right? Just click on preview, okay, and give some value to this property. This is one of the property. It should be populated during the runtime, that's why it is showing over here, because we want to see what is the data, so we need to give this value manually now. So let's give customer data dot xlx, okay, and see like what comes up. It's still loading. Okay, now you can see our customer data has popped up, and by default it has stamped these column headers, that is prop 0, prop 1, prop 2, prop 3. Okay, and there is a line, and then after that we have the records. So we will make use of these fields and create our temporary table. Okay, but when we go to the main table, if you expand the main table, this is the main table customer data, right? So in the main table you will find we will have the proper column names that we are really interested of, that is employee number, customer, age and address, because these are some of the fields that we want to link to the analytics or like a data model so that the Power BI reports or any other analytics tool can make use of these tables and the columns. So that's why the main table will be having the real fields, but our temporary table will have these fields. This is just for adjustment so that our dynamic property works properly without any manual intervention. Okay, so that's it. We will get all these tables. If I take the example of product table, let's click on the product temporary table. So now let it open. It's taking some time, might be due to some network issues. So let it open. Meantime, let me go to the ADF. Scroll down, click on this. You can minimize this from here. Open this, go to the sync. You can see, so this is product data temporary table, and we have the same global field mapping over here as well. So automatically it will be mapped and we do not have to do anything. Okay, so let's close this. Close this, it will be automatically closed, don't worry. And then we can go to this. Now at the sync side, the table name is empty and we need to give some value at the runtime, right? So simply select this dot name, which is the file name, and then you make use of replace dot xlx with temp. So what I'm doing, I'm reading the file name with dot extension temp and replacing the dot xlx to the temp so that I can get the temporary table name automatically. Okay, so that is the benefit of this. And then go to the mapping. We do not have to do any mapping because all the files will be processed like dynamically, so don't give the mapping. Go to the settings. Here also it's like a generic properties, you can go and make the changes if needed, otherwise leave it, and then go back and you can save it. And now what we can do, you can see I have created one stored procedure. Now I'm going to create a stored procedure. So I believe till here everything is clear. So we will kick off that execution and we will see like how it is executed. So one more thing I will show. Let's execute this first just to like look out for any type of issues that can come up. Let's trigger it, and this is a parallel execution. Okay, so everything should be executed in parallel. Let's click. Okay, so the metadata is completed and now we have executed the copy activity. Let's see if there is any failure or issue that comes up. Okay, so 3 of them is completed. Let's look out. Yeah, all 4 copy activity or all 4 files got loaded to the temporary table. Okay, so let's go and validate that. Okay, so this is my temporary table customer. Let's go and select this. Okay, so my customer temporary table is loaded with one null, and then we have product table that also got loaded, okay, with null. Now what we have to do, let's go and close this and then create a stored procedure. So this is a simple stored procedure. Okay, so I have created create stored procedure USP, user defined stored procedure, and load intermediate table, something like that. Okay, and you write the syntax like insert into main table customer table from the temporary table, okay, with the same sequence. Okay, we are not giving any sequence, and since we are not giving a sequence, automatically the fields that we are interested of, they are already in a sync. Okay, so that means this employee number will be synced with prop 0, this customer field will be synced with prop 1, age will be synced with prop 2. So like that, it's already like in a proper sequence, so we don't have to worry. And in the where condition, just put like prop 0 is not null. Okay, and then once it's loaded properly, just give a truncate statement to the temporary table so that it can clear off and ready for the next load. Okay, so likewise just do for all the 4 tables or whatever tables you have, and click on create. Okay, so I think it's already created. Let me just alter it. Okay, so it's altered. Now what I will do, I will copy this stored procedure. Okay, and then I will take a stored procedure component over here, join it, refresh, staging table, something like that we can put. Okay, and then go to the settings over here. Since it's like a SQL connection, we will go and give the SQL linked service connection that we have created. So to create the linked service and the data sets for SQL Server, I will show that in the coming sessions. Okay, and then from the Dropbox, let me just go and select the stored procedure name. Let's click on this and select my stored procedure that I have created under this linked service. Okay, so I have selected this as well. If you have any type of parameters, that also will show up over here if you want to pass, or you can import it. Okay, so that's it. Let's save it, and let's now try to execute it. Okay, so let me just execute it one more time. Let's see what happens. So the source files will remain at the same place because we have not opted for any deletion or any type of archival process. So the source files will remain same. So I'm triggering it one more time. What it does, it will read the source file and place that into the temporary table. And once it has placed that in a temporary table, the stored procedure will be triggering, which is going to copy the temporary data from the temporary table to the main tables. So with that, our main tables will be populated. So that is the process or the flow that I have like given right now. So there could be different solutions for this. So this is one of the solutions that came into my mind when a subscriber requested me to like give a solution on the urgent basis. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now the stored procedure has executed. Let's go back and just look out for our main table. Okay, so you can see our main table is loaded perfectly without any null. So like this we will populate, or it's like already populated all the 4, 5, 6 tables automatically. Okay, so guys, this was the solution that I'm giving for this problem. And guys, I believe you guys will like this, and please do like and subscribe my channel. So guys, that's it for this session on demand, and with that, let's meet in the coming session. Thank you and have a great day. Thanks.